Yeah, we are Russian going out in the end then.
Yeah, play. Do you want to play Divan?
Where's that one again? Yeah. Last one. How much more to start? What? Yeah, yeah.
Stand for Swamiji's entrance together with feature speaker and honorable guests.
Can we remain standing for the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago? Thank you. Can we remain standing just for the lighting of the sacrificial lamp? And I'll ask Pandit Baldev Maharaj if to just come forward to do some brief invocation mantras. We'd ask our Honorable Minister, Ms. Joanna, Professor Hari, Justice Frank C. Prasad, and
Bolo Sri Adi Shakti Lakshmi Mata Ki Jai. Bolo Sri Saraswati Mata Ki Jai. I think it is wonderful for us to have gathered together on this occasion of the International Day of Education. Why just yesterday we celebrated Saraswati Jayanti, marking the birth of the goddess or the manifestation of the goddess. So we concentrate on Saraswati Mata as the lighting of the diya. Let's all clasp our hands and join together in prayer. Om Shukalam Brahma Vicharasara Paramam Adyam Jagadavyapinim Veena Pustakadharini Abhayadham Jatya Andarakapaham Haste Spatikamalikam Chabidatim Padmasane Sanstitam Bandetam Parameshwarim Bhagavatim Buddhim Pradam Sharadam. Bolo Sri Saraswati Mata Ki Jai.
thank you very much. Please have your seats. Justice, yep. Seetharaman, and a wonderful evening to all. Dr. the Honorable Michael Dowlath, Minister of Education, Senator the Honorable Ravi Ratiram, Minister of Agriculture, he'll be here shortly. The Honorable Justices Frank C. Prasad and Devendra Ramprasad. Swami Brahmaswarupananda, founder and spiritual head, Brahma Vidya Peetham International. Pundits, representatives of other organizations. Sadhvi and Anandamaiyee Giri, Secretary General, Brahma Vidya Peetham International. Ms. Joanna Kazana, United Nations Resident Coordinator. Professor Hariharan Seetharaman, Dean, Faculty of Medical Sciences, UWI, St. Augustine. Mr. Rudranath Maharaj, Pundit, Principal, Hugh Law School. Dr. Suresh Chatrani, IT Consultant and Trainer, Barbados. Mr. Pavan, Form 5 Student, Presentation College, San Fernando. School Supervisor 3, Mr. Sheldon Joda, and any other supervisors and representatives from the ministry. Principals, Mr. Kirk Phillip, I think is here from my alma mater, Presentation College, San Fernando. Teachers, students, and there are several schools represented here tonight. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, friends. On behalf of Swamiji Brahmaswarupananda, spiritual head, Swamini Sadhvi and Anandamaiyee Giri, secretary, and myself, Dilip Dan, president of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to this celebration of International Education Day, as designated by the United Nations. Welcome to our humble home in this remote village of Karatal. If it's your first time visiting our ashram, and clearly you survived the trip here, special welcome. Education is a human right, a public good, and a public responsibility. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 24 January as International Day of Education in celebration of the role of education for peace and development. The theme for 2026 is the power of youth in co-creating education. Today, we are reminded that education is more than the accumulation of knowledge. It is the awakening of awareness. Consciousness-based education invites us to educate the human being, the whole human being, the mind that thinks, the heart that feels, and the awareness that guides our choices. In a world moving fast and often fractured, this kind of education teaches us not only how to do, but how to be with clarity, compassion, and purpose. When education nurtures inner growth alongside intellectual excellence, it shapes individuals who can meet complexity with wisdom and progress with responsibility. At the Brahma Vidya Peetham, we see our role to society not just to provide spiritual guidance and celebration of religious occasions, but to serve a much bigger purpose of increasing awareness and societal values, to improve the understanding of life, to allow one to face and overcome the many struggles faced as individuals and as a nation. We see education as the path to liberation as well as service. The decision to celebrate International Day of Education was made by Swamiji, being an educator himself and one who recognizes that holistic education is critical for nation building. Today, we have a very packed program with many very talented educators and visionaries. The discussions are expected to stimulate thought and to open our minds to improve the quality of not just our students' education, but all of society. To start us off and to give us a perspective as to the significance of International Day of Education, it is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Joanna Kazana, who is the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Kazana has over 20 years of experience in international development cooperation. She's from Poland and was appointed to Trinidad and Tobago in 2023. She coordinates United Nations operations in Trinidad and Tobago, Aruba, Curacao, Suriname, and St. Martin. Before coming to Trinidad, she would have been posted in the Republic of Belarus and has served in several other countries in varying roles at the UN. Ms. Kazana has worked for UNDP in New York, Ukraine, and Poland. She holds a master's degree in economics and international relations from Warsaw School of Economics. Please welcome Ms. Kazana with a hearty round of applause.
The Honorable Minister of Education, Justices, our distinguished hosts, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me as representative of the United Nations to be here with you on this very important day. Thank you very much for welcoming me in your community, and it's a really, truly a special privilege to open this wonderful event that you have organized today in recognition and in celebration of the United Nations Day of Education. I want to begin by sincerely thanking Brahma Vidya Peetham International for the invitation and for convening such a thoughtful and timely dialogue under the theme Beyond Academics, Shaping Character, Consciousness, Society, and Nation Together. Indeed, education cannot be reduced to what young people know. It must also shape how they live, how they think, how they feel, how they relate to others and themselves, and how they navigate the increasingly uncertain reality of today's world. This generation of students, both children and young adults, is growing up amid profound global shifts. They are a bit anxious about many things, climate change included, not as a future possibility, but as a reality that they are living every day. They live in a world where conflict, where misinformation, where instability are affecting not just global headlines, but their own sense of security and a sense of belonging and a sense of worth as a human being. And the young people are entering a job market transformed by technology, artificial intelligence, all kinds of digital platforms and new communication and new demands, even as traditional opportunities are disappearing. So this is the world that our children must make sense of. And it's so much harder than what we had to do 30 years, 40 years, 50 years ago when we were growing up. And in this world, education system, education professionals must also make sense of this complexity and help children and young people thrive, not only survive, but thrive in this dynamic, exciting world of new opportunities. And here I also want to raise an issue that we often neglect to focus on, and it's the issue of health, which is directly connected with education outcomes. And of particular importance, in terms of stability, in terms of ability to learn, is the mental health of young people. The recent Caribbean Child and Youth Mental Health Study, which was published by CARICOM and UNICEF, part of the UN family, found that over half of children in this region, children and adolescents in this region, are experiencing persistent sadness, depression, or a feeling of hopelessness. Again, education system has a critical role to play in responding to this crisis of mental health. At the United Nations, we are partnering with the government, and in particular with the Ministry of Health and Education as well, to provide tools that support young people's mental health and well-being. For example, UNICEF's Young Caribbean Minds website is one such resource, offering youth-friendly directories, workbooks, digital self-help tools, right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Because learning can't flourish where well-being is neglected. Mental, emotional, physical health including nutrition, are all part of what it means to learn with dignity. That's why I also commend both Ministries of Health and Ministry of Education for championing healthier lifestyles in schools, including the effort to reduce and hopefully completely eliminate sugar in cafeterias, sugary drinks in plastic packaging. There's nothing good coming out consumption of these things. There's no nutrition in it, and nobody needs to pay money to get less healthy drinking sugary drinks. So thank you very much, Minister, for eliminating those harms from your everyday school experience. Education must also be genuinely inclusive if it is to shape the kind of characters and consciousness we speak of today. For children with disabilities, access to learning is still too often restricted, not but by their ability, but by systems which were designed without taking them into consideration. An inclusive education is not charity. It is justice, it is rights-based, and it's recognition of the dignity of every child. Because, as we know, every child matters. And we build stronger nations when we leave no one behind. And from the UN perspective, I'd like to stress also that education is a very powerful force for peace that starts at home, for peace that starts at school, for peace that starts at community like this. We know that violence is a big problem generally, and here in Trinidad and Tobago, violence also is quite prevalent. And we also know from research that violence is learned. It's an experience that is acquired. And it can also be considered and unlearned in terms of reflexes and response. Children can be taught to manage conflict without harm. Children can learn to listen before reacting. Children can learn to choose dialogue and avoid force or aggression. This is why the United Nations has also supported initiatives which counteract cyberbullying online. You may have heard about the Blue Face campaign, which provides resources for the teachers, for the parents, for schools, and for the children, how to equip themselves and what to do to be ready to recognize signs of bullying, bullying online, and what to do to raise the issue and protect oneself, from this kind of harm. In the past few years, the Spotlight Initiative, which unfortunately has completed its activities, but we are really proud of the results of the Spotlight Initiative, which delivered nationwide anti-bullying and conflict resolution training to professionals at schools across the country. When we teach young people to become peace builders, online and offline, we give them alternatives to violence, and we give them hope, and we give them strength and confidence that they can be creative, that they can be constructive, that they can be the agents of peace in every way they can, in the most simple situations in everyday life. And in a world where division too often makes headlines, I also want to recognize Trinidad and Tobago as a shining example of a model of social harmony, of different cultures, on different faiths, and on different histories that unite this nation. This country continues to come together in celebration and in struggle and in solidarity. And that kind of unity doesn't happen by accident. It's not to be taken for granted, and it's not given forever. It needs to be nurtured also by education, by promoting the respect for the values, especially those values that we all share. When children are taught to appreciate differences instead of fearing differences, societies grow stronger. When they learn that diversity is a strength, peace becomes possible. So let us also speak frankly about gender equality. Around the world, we are witnessing a very strong pushback against women's rights and the hard-won freedom that the women have fought for over the last few decades. Gender-based violence remains a serious challenge here in Trinidad, across this region, as it does globally. This is why schools must be spaces for respect and for reflection on this issue, for the transformation into society where boys and girls are encouraged to question harmful norms and embrace respect for the different gender roles and gender rights that they both have. Young men must be shown that equality is not a threat to the young men. They must be shown that this is an opportunity for both boys and girls equally on the path to development, on the path to success, on the path to harmonious community development. On this Day of International Education, the ask is very simple. We must invest. We must invest in physical environment at schools. We must invest in schools to become really a place where young people want to stay because it's nice, because it's cool, not only in terms of looking cool, but also being cool in temperature. It must be a place where they are feeling very comfortable, physically happy to be there. So investment, investment, investment. Of course, easier said than done. Technology, equipment, infrastructure, it all costs money. But there's no better way of ensuring future prosperity in every possible way. Health, material prosperity, social harmony, economic opportunity, growth, creativity, innovation, other than investing in our schools. And the community level schools are particularly important. Young people and children in small communities don't have other places to hang out. They don't have a cinema in the neighborhood. They don't have, oftentimes, sports places. The school becomes the heart of community. So let's make it beautiful, let's make it thriving, let's make it modern and comfortable for the young people to feel that this is my school and I'm happy to be part of this learning and thriving community. As I mentioned, we must invest also in inclusive education. A modern school is a school where children of every ability are learning and making progress and developing and growing. They will never all achieve the same outcomes and results, but they will learn to be accepted and learn to be accepting of those who are different and differently abled. The United Nations, as a global institution, has always focused on education as one of the top priorities in human development. And we will always continue working alongside governments, educators, faith-based organizations, and families and students to make this vision a reality. Because when we educate with purpose, we do more than just shaping careers or educational levels. We are shaping the character, we are shaping communities, and we are shaping a future where we leave truly no one behind. I thank you very much for your attention. I also want to recognize all of the educators who are working extremely hard, day in and day out, with the young people, children and youth. You're doing something really extremely important and also sometimes difficult. So on this day, congratulations and thanks to teachers, to educators, to the directors, to the managers, and to the government officials who are taking care of our schools and education systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kazana. And on behalf of the ashram, we'd like to present a little token of appreciation for your presence here with us this afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity while this is being done to recognize Mr. Chandra Sharma, former Member of Parliament, Dr. and Mrs. Roy Tilakdari, Mr. and Mrs. Sherwin Sinat, many pundits here with us, Pandit Baldev, Maharaj, Pandit Vigyan, Dharamdas, Seetharaman, and welcome. How does one introduce Swamiji to speak? Swami Brahmaswarupananda Ji is an educator, philosopher, philanthropist, mystic, and pioneer of spirituality in this new millennium. He was born in the holy city of Kashi, and his natural disposition has led him to his mission in life, which is promoting happiness, peace, and the elevation of the social and spiritual aspects of mankind. Swamiji holds a Bachelor of Education from Calcutta University and a Master of Science and Philosophy from the University of Agra. In November 2019, he was presented with the Honorary PhD, Doctor of World Peace, by the Maharishi European Research University, Switzerland. His formal spiritual training commenced in 1971 at the Ramakrishna Mission, and under its Vivekananda tradition, Swamiji was initiated into sannyas. The Vedas, Sri Ramachatramanas, and the Srimad Bhagavad Gita has been sources of inspiration throughout his life. This was especially reflected at the beginning of his spiritual career at the Andaman and Nicobar Islands of India, where he propagated the Ramayana for 2 years. Following this, his international career began in England, then continued to Holland in 1984 and the Caribbean in 1986. Swamiji currently travels the worldwide, spreading the message of divine consciousness. Swamiji has written several books and has just published the first Dutch translation of the Saint Tulsidas Ramayana. He has organized global conferences, seminars, and symposiums encompassing various themes such as the Ramayana, Vedas, Hinduism, and world peace. His most recent conference include International Veda Conference, Veda for World Peace in February 2015 in New Delhi, and in November 2019, Trinidad, West Indies. Swamiji holds several positions of great responsibility, which include Peter Desh and founder Brahma Vidya Peetham International, coordinator of the Caribbean region and European zone for World Council of Hindus and Vice Chancellor of Maharishi Vedic University Caribbean, among others. It is a great honor to invite Swami Brahmaswarupananda Ji to give his perspective on the value of the International Education Day. Swamiji.
Okay.
You.
Okay. बोले श्यावर रामचंद्र की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय. All dear my brother and respected my dear soul, today I am very happy to be here because Dr. more respectable Michael, please I can't pronounce properly, Dowlath, yeah, Dowlath, Minister of Education, Senior Rabirat didn't come. Okay. Spiritual leaders and organizations. Professor Dilip Dan, President of Brahma Vidya Peetham. Sadhvi Ananda, Secretary General Brahma Vidya Peetham. I am very happy to listen United Nations Resident Coordinator, Mrs. Very Nice who spoke. Yeah, spoke. Because organizations, United Nations, there is a part of UNESCO, scientific, educational, they are working in the whole world, about 135 countries. Before was 195 countries. Because in beginning, United Nations, 3rd December 2018, they declared this organization, United Nations, Doctor. And after that, every year, whole world celebrating Education Day. So my all dear brothers, Professor Hariharan Ji, I'm very happy you came, Dean Faculty of Medical Science, Mr. Rudranath Maharaj, Principal of the Law School, Suresh Chatrani, that is a TMT teacher in Barbados, Pavan presentation, he is presenting, but my judge, I'm very happy, yes sir, you came here, I am very, very happy. I'm happy and proud to judge is here. I'm doing pranam to everybody. Everybody's pranam. I'm coming on the subject. Education, I am sannyasi of Ramakrishna Vivekananda organization. Vivekananda declared what is education in one sentence. Education is a manifestation of the perfection already in man. His word. Second word is mind-making process is education. Make a good man. This good man, I'm more great devotee of Einstein, Albert Einstein. He told education, how the nature and nurture will come together. Nature and nurture. Nurture is social life. Nature means nature. And then Nelson Mandela, I met in Africa, very big conference was. He told it is a force to change the world. Education is great strength to change the society. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi also told education based on consciousness, not only mind, not only nature, but your consciousness. What is your consciousness? Many books available. Education is the key to success. Education gives strength and power. Learning today, leading tomorrow. That is his explanation. But United Nations, they presented 4 pillars of education. First is a learning to know. Learning to know. Second, learning to do. Third, learning to live together. And fourth, learning to be. To be is a 2 word. Being and becoming. Being is a nature of human inside, potentiality. Of becoming, through the teaching, we are changing. Becoming. Being and becoming, that is learning to be United Nations. My education minister of India was in education meeting, so then I found the book. But one thing I want to say, ideal of education, who is in education field, who is well qualified, good scholar, intellectual. They are doing PhD, research, discovering. But I am presenting one different type of the example. Ramakrishna Paramahansa was educated. Christ was educated. Kabir Das was educated? No. Sai Baba also not well educated. But they change the society, they change the human being. Or all at present, all professors of university, they are doing the research on this illiterate people. Illiterate I don't like, non-letter word. How much change? Ramakrishna Paramahansa went to the school, primary school. Teacher started to teach. 5 plus 3, 8. 7 plus 3, 10. He first day learned. Second day teacher started to teach. 7 minus 3, 4. 5 minus 2. Ramakrishna looking through the window outside. Teacher scolding, "Hey, You have no attention? He told, no. Why? Try to catch. I came on this earth for plus, not for minus. I came on this earth for plus, not for minus. Vivekananda disciple went to America, 1893. 3 years he was there. He explained what is education. Education is a plus values, not minus values. In our whole tradition is a plus value. We are playing the Mother Earth. We are telling Mother. We are born in the country, motherland. My father is helping me, mother, the Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava. Bhava, that is plus values, not minus values. At present, what is education is, that should be plus value in the life. Plus value, not minus. Should be discipline plus values. Teachers should be ideal plus values. Look at the life of teacher, the plus values in life. Vivekananda, big lecture, 10 volume, his complete work of Vivekananda, there is the article. He became very popular. In America, very popular. World Religious Conference. After the conference, all scholars came, Vivekananda, yeah, I want to honor you. I want to honor you. Tomorrow give answer. Next day, again they came, very big name of professor who organized the International Religious Conference. Up till now continue. So he told, first of all, you honor my teacher, my master. Who is that? Ramakrishna. He wrote any book? No. Any lecture you have his lecture? No. So how to honor him? Vivekananda answered. He prepared the one living book. You are behind running to listen. Who is that? I am living book of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. I am living book. He didn't do. Even his wife, Sardama, how guiding the all scholar, 50% scholar in America, England and Japan working. She was not educated. I am in favor of education. But I'm telling, value of the life, understanding the truth, that is inner. Due to this, Lakme, L-O-C-K-M-E, great educationist, he told children is a blank slate. Free. There is not written anything. It is a duty of the teacher write in their life. But now all philosophers, all thinkers of education, they told, no. Children coming with own inner potentiality, own quality and qualification, Teaching education is due to how to develop and polish, irrigate the plant, making the tree, same as they are. But first, raise, develop their inner quality. That is the meaning of education, he told. So, my dear brother and sister, many philosophers, my other speaker will speak, John Dewey, Jean Rousseau. Rousseau was my favorite writer. And then John Locke. John Locke told, student is a blank paper, blank slate. Teacher duty, right? I don't believe that. Because we appear on this earth with the many qualities. At 5-7 years became great singer. Sankutala is a great medical. All the mathematics he knows in the 9-year age. It means where they learn. They didn't go to school. I'm in favor of education, but what is the reality on the foundation of education? That also necessary to learn the education system. Education system. Many thinkers came, Confucius in China, Tao in China, Tao 5 volume, his book I have. And they are not educated, but Greek philosophy they presented, Chinese philosophy. Rabindranath Tagore, great poet, writer, singer, artist, he was educated. He told education, how to spend the heart, how to spend the brain for this purpose. Our second president of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, many books he wrote. He told modernity and traditional qualities should be together, joined. Before that, Plato and Socrates, that is a well-known name in the whole Europe, whole Renaissance period depend on the two people. And then Plato and Socrates, third Aristotle. I have all people's thinker book I have. Many philosophy. Good time. So, many philosophy came, only taking the name pragmatism, idealism, essentialism, humanism. We say ism word I don't like, but ism became very popular. Ism on a frame. You are thinking. When you're thinking, taking decision, then became thought. Thought has philosophy. The ism is narrow, but very popular. I'm also using ism. 1 point more I want to tell. Modern education. Modern education depends on AI, going to AI. 100% I'm not favor of artificial intelligence. Great danger, but very necessary. And the computer. Children learning in house study. From the house, attending the computer, the teacher. That is new trend. That is a change. Because we are not living in modern period. Modern period finished. That is postmodern period. Postmodern period also finished. Then what is a modern period? Then ultra-modern period. Now we are living Then due to the AI, computer, education, everything reading in my hand, all finger has the knowledge. Truth is. Now one word I want to say. AI has knowledge, storehouse of the knowledge, anything can. Second, human brain, human intelligence, or AI intelligence. They used, within the 1 month, they started a new world. How the human intelligence and then computer intelligence, how to work together like one brain. He has given the one word, Dr. Intelligence. Intelligence, your mind plus AI mind. Intelligence. I'm not going to explain, take more time. And then intelligence quotient. IQ, very popular word. But IQ became old. Now become emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. But my opinion, SQ, spiritual Q. Second, practical quotient. And then physical quotient. This 5 type quotient came. Great teacher in our tradition, that is my last word, that is a Hanumanji. Hanumanji is a great IQ, Jnaninam Agraganyam. So we are reading one line. Bal buddhi vidya dehu mahi haramu kalesa vikar. Oh Hanumanji, give power, bal, physical, Q. Buddhi, intellect. Vidya, wisdom. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom is higher than knowledge. First information, then knowledge, then wisdom, then intuition. That is progress of the knowledge. Kalesa, vikar, remove my all suffering. Many type of suffering, physical suffering, mental suffering, spiritual, vikar, impurity inside. Impurity of the anger, jealousy. So all this impurity, 8 type of impurity in the human body, all this should be finished. So my dear brother, I was searching any educationist, thinker of education in Trinidad. I found Eric William, one man given the one book, Decolonization, very small booklet. But I'm searching his many books he wrote. Edward, third is a Sir Arthur Levy's in West Indies writer. So I am more interested to listen our minister and then professor. So then, doctor, I may stop here. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. I would like to recognize some more persons. There are so many dignitaries in this audience tonight, and Sister Himlata and members of the Brahma Kumari Foundation, Brother Faiz and other members of the Sai Baba Association. I see the Chief Pharmacist, Ms. Anisa Sibu, is here as well. Thank you all for coming. His Grace Archbishop Jason Gordon unfortunately could not attend, but he does due to a prior engagement. However, he sends his love and best wishes for a very successful program. Our next speaker is Dr. Suresh Chatrani. He's a passionate businessman and an educator who combines technology, education, and consciousness in his work. He runs his own IT business, creating smart and practical solutions for education, hospitality, and small businesses. Alongside his business activities, he has enjoyed sharing his knowledge as a lecturer with the Cavill School of Business in the Executive MBA program. Dr. Chatrani completed his MBA in 1992 at the Maharishi International University in the United States and later followed his deep interest in consciousness studies by earning a PhD in natural law and consciousness in 1999 from Maharishi University of Management in Holland. His work reflects a lifelong commitment, innovation, learning, and the holistic development of individuals and organizations. Please welcome Dr. Suresh Chatrani to the podium to speak on consciousness-based education. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to come back to Trinidad. Swamiji, the Honorable Minister of Education, our justices who are also here, Ms. Kazana, the other fellow speakers, all the other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Dr. Dan said, I did an undergrad and a master's in business and a doctorate degree in natural law and consciousness. So the presentation on consciousness-based education is one that I would have gone through. So it is from my own experience as well as being a student in that type of environment. As Swamiji was talking about this value of being, Ms. Cassandra also talked about how do we shape the lives and the field? How do we shape the students of today? Not to talk too much about the problems of education, but one key point that you mentioned was 50% of children in the Caribbean region have this problem with mental health, sadness, depression. So my goal today is not really to give you the theoretical aspect of the knowledge, but to show you some of the practical things and to show you research that was done over the last 56 years. Now, the research, as I will just go through, I'll talk as we go through the slides. This is a picture of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of consciousness-based education. We want to introduce into education the knowledge of the knower, consciousness. Now, most people are familiar of, when they go to school, of the known, books, all the things you need to do. There are three aspects to knowledge. Not only what is in the textbook, but the knower, the student, and the connection between the two, the process of knowing, is when these three values come together, then you have knowledge. That is sort of the fundamental basis of consciousness-based education. Now the word is consciousness. So really, what is consciousness? Again, everything we feel, think, experience, plan, that is our personal consciousness. As Dr. Dan was giving the introduction to this whole seminar, he mentioned about that awareness. You know, consciousness is based on awareness, what we are aware of. That is us. How we see the world, that is awareness. This is the simplest form of definition for now. So what we're saying is that we need to develop that in the students. Because if education is made up of these three values, the known, process of knowing, and the knower, the other two values also have to be developed, which is the most important thing. And consciousness is central to our lives. If we can develop this, we can automatically improve our mind, behavior, and we will enjoy more happiness and fulfillment in life. So this knower is like, in a simple form, it's like you are the container. The knower or the student is a container. If the container is so big, what do you think happens? This is how much, only so much can it go hold. That's why they have that expression, right? What goes through one ear comes out the other. When you get that overload, nothing else is going to sit. So if you don't focus on the knower, which is develop the student, then there's only so much you can do. Now, this is, as I said, I want practical, so I want to show you also a video, but I just want to show some of the scientific research as it relates to education in students. So, even though we talked about the word consciousness, here is a new aspect called technology of consciousness. So technology means you have the theoretical knowledge, how do you apply it? The application here is that transcendental meditation is sort of a consciousness-based technology. Means that you can utilize this to develop consciousness. And when you see the research that's been done over the last 56 years, you find that when you have students learning meditation, now meditation might seem, everybody may have a concept of what meditation is. In this case, transcendental meditation is a very simple, natural technique. It's really a technique allowing you to experience your finer levels of consciousness that are inside of you. Until you reach that level, that is the deepest level, the simplest form of your awareness. As the word, as Swamiji was talking about education, there is that definition in UN that they talk about educar, which means to bring out. So education is your bringing out. But where is it? It's not outside the student, it is inside the student. Here you're allowing the student to go inside. So what is he going to do? He's going to pull it out. What is automatically there? Swamiji mentioned about AI. In the 1970s, the founder of the consciousness-based program was talking about CI. So you have AI, artificial intelligence, but here you have a word, CI, meaning creative intelligence. And where's that creative intelligence? Inside of you. It's not outside. Creativity and intelligence comes from within. So that is why when you go in within, you automatically will see that you have increased creativity, increased tolerance. Well, maybe I'm too far. Increased creativity. Now, as a student increases that creativity, intelligence, that level of mental health, stability improves. What's going to happen? In there, as Ms. Constanta was talking about, after you have that part, is now how they are going to interact with other people. So when creativity and intelligence is moving within you, your ability to interact with people become better. That is greater appreciation for others, improved tolerance. The whole overall improvement of intellectual performance, and this is all scientific research that was done over the last 56 years. brain reserves. This is showing that in this simple practice, how the brain now starts to function better, more opening, more connections with every aspect of the brain. So this is, as I told you, very practical. What I wanted to do is, I have this lady ready. So we're going to actually show you a video about this program being put into a school in Jamaica.
Seems like, oh, I think we're okay now. Thanks.
Something must be wrong with you, you belong to some weird faith or something. And so, initially, when I heard about transcendental meditation, and I'm saying, no way am I getting involved in that. No. I'm very close to a Catholic priest in Jamaica, Jesuit, Father Peter, and I told him, and he says to me then, Margaret, how you think I last? I said, how you mean? He says, if I didn't meditate, I wouldn't last. I said, do you meditate? I said, okay, here we go then. Lots of teachers were very skeptical. I was still skeptical. And I'm saying, well, if this can help the students, let's do it. Over time, we have improved in the sense of just helping to get the children to have a sense of self, to understand who they are, to help them to see that they are no less than.
When I learned him, I felt different, I felt wonderful, and I felt new.
I've learned that a calm approach to things and how I view things.
I felt calm and safe and settled.
I got my report from the Dean of Discipline. So he compared it with the year before. And already we have seen the drastic decrease in the number of fights and suspension. It is there now, documented. We took off the lowest performing students to put into a class that I gave a teacher. She's a meditator. Her students are meditating. That class, which was the lowest performing class in September 2015, that class is now above the highest performing class that we had. We had another class where it was a class of about 23 students who were very disruptive. That class is like after a while we didn't hear their names and we said, so what happened? No fights today? No quarrels today? The class just settled down, just started to work. That class just changed completely from being this disruptive class to the class that now we are getting student leaders from. So I'm saying the struggle is on, fight is on, but we are going to go through and we are going to make the Holy Trinity High School a school where quiet time, where quiet meditation is practiced, because we have to show the rest of Jamaica that, listen, change had come, change can come. I do believe that change begins right inside of you. And so if we can get that change within each one of us at Holy Trinity, the change from within, we will change the school and we will in turn change the community.
I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I think you have a solution here for some of the problem schools that we have. Other than these police and schools, yes. Thank you. So we want to welcome, we want to honor Dr. Chatrani with a shawl. In the interim, I would also like to invite Justice Frank C. Prasad to the stage as well. He has to leave, unfortunately, for another engagement. So we, Swamiji, insist that we must recognize his attendance at our ashram. So, Justice. And while we recognizing, we want to, because this talk was based on the Maharishi Institute training, we recognize our Maharishi Institute of Science and Technology representatives here tonight, Shelley Hussein, Anthony Grell. Welcome. Also, I see Dr. Dev Ramuta is with us. We have Dr. Vijan Ramtahal, Dr. Nitya Ramkaran Singh. We have I think I see Rana. Yeah, Rana Muhip, I think I saw as well. Welcome. Welcome, sir. I wish you had brought your stuff. You could play some music for us. Thank you. So, moving on with the program. Thank you very much, Justice, and have a safe rest of the evening. Moving on with the program, it really is a pleasure to invite our next speaker, who is Mr. Rudranath Maharaj. Mr. Maharaj is an attorney at law of 30 years, standing as a certified mediator. He's been a lecturer at the Hugh Law School in St. Augustine for the last 20 years and was recently appointed the principal. Mr. Maharaj was former lecturer at the School of Dentistry, Medical Sciences, as well as University and at the University of the West Indies School of Continuing Studies. He has been in private and worked with other law firms. He's also been attached to public sector organizations and was engaged as a consultant at the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. He's held several directorships in both public and private sector organizations, including those in the energy sector and in the non-energy sector as well. He served as chairman of the disciplinary committee of the Statutory Authority Services Commission of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Maharaj is married and the father of 4 children. He was born in San Fernando and attended both primary and secondary schools, and I'm proud to say he attended Presentation College. Minister, Presentation College. He has been attached to the Krishna Mandir of Todd Street, San Fernando for 40 years and has been the resident Pandit there for the last 19 years. Today, Pandit Ji will speak to us on the philosophy of education, Eastern and Western approaches considered. Welcome.
Reverend Swamiji, Swami Brahmaswarupananda, Sadhvi Anandamaiyee Giri, the President of National, Professor Dilip Dan, please allow me to stand on the protocols already established this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, God, I came prepared to deliver, but having our speakers thus far this evening, I wonder with the sentiments that have been expressed. The insightful remarks by the UN coordinator, the wonderful presentation with the technology attached by Dr. Chatrani, and our very insightful words by our Reverend Swamiji have indeed set a very wonderful backdrop. And permit me, therefore, to be very brief in terms of my comments this evening, because I know one of the things about being a lecturer is that our attention span sometimes gets challenged. So I will not be long, I do assure you that. One of the things that has been driven home this evening, so I'm going off script, is that education is not an event, but it is a process. I want to repeat that. Education is not an event, but it is a process. And in considering the process, I think for those of us who follow Sanatana Dharma, it is not by happenstance that yesterday we observed Basant Panchami, where we revered that aspect of God through the form of Devi Mata, Saraswati Mata, the goddess of learning, the refinement of intellect, the goddess of arts, and so on, the goddess of speech, as integral to the process of education that impacts not only children, but it impacts all of us. And that is very important. In looking at the philosophy of education, therefore, there are certain questions that we might ask ourselves quite rightly. What is education? Where does it start? Where does it end? Is there any limit on education? What is the process involved? And what are the tools and strategies to be used? Some of the remarks made before are very interesting. As Swamiji himself has recognized, there are certain persons who are not a clean slate. When you are born, you have certain vasanas attached. And for example, in the Western world, Mozart was a musical genius in very tender years. How do you account for that, for example? In Hindu scripture, we know of the Katha of Prahlad, whose education began when he was in womb, before he was born, and therefore his birth, it was not therefore difficult to imagine the traits and tendencies he had, able to stand up to an established order that was unjust, because of that exposure he had even before birth. When did education end? In Hindu philosophy, when Sanatana speak about the different ashrams, brahmachari state where you're meant to speak. And there are many about, for example, now we speak about lifelong learning, but we must ask ourselves lifelong learning in context. Because I ask you to interrogate this question. Many generations ago, when learning, in a sense, would have stopped at a certain age, you had the time for parents and family members to commit to other values and other things, to look after children, to ensure that their discipline and well-being was being adequately cared for. Now, when you have parents who continue that learning journey, that educational journey, by pursuing various types of degrees and certifications, when they're married and when they're parents, there's often a vacuum left, and the children undoubtedly feel the brunt of that. So we must ask ourselves about this concept of education and our philosophy of it. Consider historically formal schools and formal schooling, particularly in the West. Swamiji looked at some of the various philosophers, and when we looked at the Age of Enlightenment, naturalism and the studying of nature was an integral part. Persons would go out into the yard, into the wild, so to speak, and observe what was going on. It was empirical learning, it was immersive learning, and it was experiential learning. With the industrial age changed. Why? Because requirements were needed by society, particularly in terms of job creation. Skills and competencies required then of the individuals and changed, and as a result of that, education, quote unquote, was modeled to look after that need. And therefore it became the norm, and for us in this country, following the UK model of education assiduously, we see where that focus was. Now, for example, we are talking about STEM training, science, technology, education, mathematics. Where is the consciousness? Where is the value? Where is the foundation upon which that training takes place? I ask you to then consider education that has now become a big business. And there's no question about it. It has become a big business because there's a market for it. And so it is all about churning out numbers. We have diploma mills about certification. And therefore, when you speak to someone about an educated individual, you are talking generally now with the accepted sentiment that it is somebody who is certified. And as Swamiji quite rightly pointed out, there are many spiritual masters, Jesus Christ and others, who were never formally certified. Isn't that ironical? So we must consider these things, and I ask us to consider as well in the Eastern philosophy, the Gurukul system. And I will draw two examples. Some of you would be familiar, some not, and I will try to explain. In the Ramcharitmanas, we are exposed to those personalities that we are very fond of. Prabhu Shri Ram, Lakshman, Bhaya, Shatrughan, and Bharat. Where did their education start? It started in the home with Raja Dashrath. It started in the home with their Guru, Guru Vashisht. And that training, that education in the home was a holistic type of education. For Prabhu Shri Ram and Lakshman Bhai, they went further when Vishwamitra Muni took them under his care. And that training also continued, both in secular and non-secular aspects, so that they developed into different types of individuals. They were not the same. They were diverse. Their approaches were different, and it was borne out by the personalities that they later became. And what we recognized in that system was that the system was all-inclusive. It was not discriminatory. It was collaborative in approach. And the product of that, as evidenced in our scriptures, were well-rounded, respected, healthy persons of integrity who added value to all of society. I repeat that. The product of that system was well-rounded, respected, healthy persons of integrity who added value to all of society. Look at the same Ramcharitmanas, and let's compare education exposed to and the product of in the form of Prabhu Shri Ram and others to Ravan. Swamiji will bear me out when I say this, that Ravan was a very knowledgeable person. He had a lot of knowledge, but for those of us who are familiar with the Katha, look at where that knowledge without the value system led him. To making incorrect choices, improper choices, ones that were based not on scriptural values or Sanatana Dharma tenets, but which were for his own selfish purposes. And it caused harm and grief to wider society, and it eventually led to his eventual destruction. And we just need to look at our society today, and we see many examples where persons who may be knowledgeable are not persons who have that moral compass or value system that guide their decisions. A second example I will go to very quickly is Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita, we know, is a conversation that takes place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It is a conversation that takes place between someone who we will consider to be a knower, and to quote Dr. Chatrani's title, in the form of Arjuna, and Sri Krishna, who we may want to equate with the educator. It is a wonderful example of the Socratic approach to teaching and learning. And for those of you in education, you would know what that means. Socrates is a philosopher highly revered in the West. Swamiji himself quoted. And the Socratic approach is where you interrogate, you ask questions, and you allow the learning to take place in that way. When we consider the conversation that took place between Sri Krishna and Arjuna thousands of years ago, before Socrates, you see that the Socratic approach was not only recognized then, but it was employed very successfully. And what do we gain from that? A couple things. The relationship that exists between the teacher and the learner. That is important. There must be one of respect. There must be one where the values are identical. There's one that indeed is facilitated by an environment of learning. The mutual respect was accorded to both the teacher and the learner. And sometimes we see in schools right now, the students are not respecting their teachers, but we also have the unfortunate circumstances where teachers, by their behavior and their language and their deportment, are also not respectful of the students. As a teacher, and I'm not casting blame on anyone, when you come to school late, you are setting a poor example. When you're speaking a poor tone and you don't facilitate dispute resolution, you are setting a poor example. The way you dress and present yourself before your students sometimes sets a poor example. And students learn most powerfully through modeling. How we impact our students is very important, and that is seen very clearly in that conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. The process employed by him included rapport building. It included experiential learning, active listening, the use of relevant and relatable examples. Teaching moments, as we know, can occur in different places, and of all places, a battlefield. It tells us some very important lessons. What was the outcome of this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna? We noted that in the end, Arjuna emerged as an enlightened, aware, conscious, purpose-driven individual who was able to fulfill his duty, his purpose, and by extension, the benefit to society. That is an important lesson to be learned from our scriptures, both Ramcharitmanas and Bhagavad Gita. And I could go on for several hours, but time is against me. The current or modern experiences, some of us have already commented on. There remains the limited access to formal training or education globally. This has led to inequalities in societies, in communities, and between nations. And we saw that very vividly during the pandemic, when that inequality between nations became very important. Education has now unfortunately become equated to certification, and access to opportunity after education is based now solely on certification. If you're an employer, what are you looking for to get that employee into the doorway? It is the certification. But unfortunately, employers recognize that that certification may not keep that employee within the employee because their attitudes and their values and so on that are needed are absent or severely lacking. It is quite ironic, as I said before, that some of our very influential and spiritual masters were themselves not certified, but they've made a profound impact on the course of history. There's a strong focus now on the assimilation of information, and Swamiji spoke about artificial intelligence, where you now have knowledge at your fingertips. There's the fear now that human beings would be overtaken. It is there, it is accessible, but what is missing are some of the developmental skills of critical thinking, of problem solving. Many students now are masters at passing an exam, And we as parents are guilty of it here in this country. We indoctrinate our children from preschool. You have to get your child into the correct preschool. And now the preschools are so competitive because you are preparing for primary school that our children before the age of 5 must be able to read, write, be interviewed. Forget the social skills and the motor skills development, that's gone out the window because it is now so highly competitive. And I'm sure parents, you know what I'm talking about because I'm seeing the wry smiles on your faces. Then you get into the primary school system, and unfortunately there again begins the rat race to pass SEA, to get into the prestige secondary school. And children are put through the ringer in terms of that, forgetting the other skills, nation-building skills, moral values, and so on, that are not emphasized at all, or they are not emphasized sufficiently. And I can go on. So sometimes the product that I see coming to the law school, who've been through preschool, primary school, secondary school, university with an undergraduate qualification, these skills are lacking. They don't have the dispute resolution skills. They definitely do not have the emotional intelligence in terms of how they deal with others. They do not have the ability to think critically and think outside the box. They just want to know what is coming for exam and how do I pass. Because that is what society has propelled. The rise in white-collar crime globally has been reflected by a deficiency in the values of individuals who may be quote-unquote well-educated, well-certified, but whose actions create direct and indirect hardship on wider society. Do you think it's stupid, uneducated people who commit white-collar crime? It is the highly educated. Think about the cybercrime that is going on. These are people who are knowledgeable, but who lack certain facets and values in their lives. Now, we could fall prey easily to blame this on the schools or the system. I want us to think a little bit more in terms of, as I conclude some of the suggestions. As in education, it would be useful for us as a society, and I'm not speaking about Trinidad and Tobago alone, to determine what the ideal human being should be. What should the ideal human being look like? And it may look like a different personality depending upon the culture, the society, religious persuasions we may want to argue. But the fundamental basis about persons being empathetic, truthful, kind, compassionate, caring about others and not only themselves is universal. So these are the kinds of individuals I would want to submit, we would want to create. We need to relook at what currently obtains at all levels, and recognize where the gaps are, whether it is in resources, whether it is in systems, whether it is in processes, all of those things, and determine as well what are the current best practices, because you can't throw the baby out with the bath water. It's important to harness what is good. A move forward towards, my friend said, conscious-based education, and I would add the word value-based education, in a model which recognizes and develops, and this is where it's different now, all stakeholders in the process. Because I want to suggest education does not start in the school system. It starts at home. Education starts at home, and it continues to be reinforced in home. And the parents, therefore, which are an integral part in this system, are often overlooked in the whole model. So we must consider the stakeholders, including the parents. Centers of learning, and I'm not confining that to schools alone. Places of worship are also centers of learning, as well as other centers where that indoctrination and that process takes place. And an integral part in that has to be the state. The state is the one that can allocate the resources and can put the mechanisms in place to facilitate the process. Investment in the process of education to produce global citizens who are given the best opportunity of a holistic development physically, socially, mentally, spiritually, and professionally is a must. The above, we might argue, seems to be utopian in nature. This is a pie in the sky, we might say. But it should be viewed not merely as aspirational, for even if we can make incremental changes, as I know the authorities have been trying to do, you can see exponential progress. And my friend's experiment in Jamaica and the Jamaican school is a tangible example of one small step making a fundamental difference. I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, in your own corners and spheres of influence where you are, and I must commend Swamiji on this initiative this evening, and please forgive my tone if I have offended anyone. It is important for us to introspect about what we do ourselves, in our homes, with our children, and consider the outcomes we would want to have in terms of our children and their places in society as productive, well-adjusted citizens. And what can we do to make the difference? I am very proud to see Mr. Pavan Dan being one of the persons here. Pavan's dad is Professor Dilip Dan. His mom is seated right here, as is his sister. And what is important about that, it gives us the instruction practically about families coming together, making sacrifices, yes, for the benefit of the children, and ensuring what the values that you would wish to have evidenced in your children, that it starts in the home. It is reinforced in the school, and it is further reinforced by the gurus, the ashram, the mandirs, masjids, and churches to give you the best chance of the ideal citizen that you would want to produce as an educated individual. As we celebrate this occasion of International Education Day, I ask us all to join in a moment of prayer as I close. We pray, however we perceive God, for the blessings, that our mind, our intellect would be refined, that we would be blessed individually, that our families would be blessed, that we will have that consciousness to recognize who we are as individuals, the potential ahead of us, and our true capabilities in its realization. May Saraswati Mata bless us all. Hari Om Ya Kunde Indu Tusharahar Nidhavala Ya Shubhra Vastravrita Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara Ya Shveta Padmasanam Ya Brahma Chuta Shankara Pravritihi Devai Sada Vandita Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nishesha Jadhyapa Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. Namaste, Jai Seetharaman. Pleasant good night to all. Thank you very much.
Panditji, I think we have something for you. What a wonderful and powerful presentation. I think he deserves something more than that. The next item on the agenda is a musical interlude, so while they prepare for that, His Excellency Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, ORTT, former president, the 5th president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, who was supposed to attend tonight's function, couldn't attend. Instead, he sent a short message, and he asked that if it's possible to read it, and I said, absolutely. And he says, all protocols observed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your gracious invitation, but regrettably, today I have to attend another previously committed engagement, hence my absence. I must commend the Brahma Vidya Peetham International for this distinctive act of discernment by their celebration of International Education Day. The power of education is unrivaled. The motive of International Education Day, the power of youth in recreating education, is a telling reminder of the need and the mandate to create holistic, enabling environments which nurture and mold our young men and women to be dynamos of affirmative change and progressive, sustainable development. On a day like today, we must, however, ask ourselves if we are truly adhering to the often articulated 4 tenets and pillars of education: learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be. And if we are not, we must therefore be in the business of recalibrating a pedagogy which infuses in our young people the wherewithal to become conscious global citizens engaged in the virtuous business of humanity. Too often, this world of ours is burdened with educated monsters who become obsessed with power rather than the exigencies of unadulterated, selfless service. In this regard, education speaks to a higher purpose beyond the trappings of self and self-aggrandizement. Education must therefore inculcate and trigger in our students a singular mindset to not only see themselves as beneficiaries of development, but more importantly, as contributors to development, social equity, and justice. Kind regards. Take care. Thomas Aquinas Carmona, SCORTT, 5th President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So that was his message. So, well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce two presentation college students, and I want to recognize the principal, acting principal, Mr. Kirk Phillip of Presentation College, to give us a little musical interlude, Pavan Dan and Veer Kisoon, 5th and 6th year students at Presentation College. Thank you very much. I know it is getting a little bit later than we planned the program, but we want to welcome our Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Marine Affairs, the Honorable Mr. Ravi Ratiram. And Ms. Neela Mongru, welcome. We are getting close to the end, I promise you, but we do have a couple more short presentations and then the feature address by our minister. The next address is going to be by Professor Hariharan Seetharaman, who is my boss at the Faculty of Medical Sciences, where he is the Dean of the Medical School. His qualifications are numerous, but I will just, for the sake of time, will be a little bit brief, and I'm sure he'll be okay with that. He is MBBS, obviously, in India, and fellowship trained in critical care medicine, and a PhD in health economics. He's formerly held positions as the Director of Graduate Studies and Research at UWI and Head of Department of Anesthesia at NCRHA. He has over 130 publications in several areas of medicine. He's a recipient of the UWI Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Research. He's also served as the Editor-in-Chief of the Caribbean Medical Journal, President of Trinidad and Tobago Anesthetists Association, and 2 terms as President of the Bioethics Society of the English-speaking Caribbean. It gives me great pleasure to welcome my boss to speak to us today on holistic education in ancient India.
Good evening. All protocols observed. We have 2 honorable ministers and Swamiji. I must say that Mr. Dr. Rudranath Maharaj probably knew what I'm going to talk, so I'm going to just skip all my slides because he has told whatever I had to tell, so I'm much more powerfully, and as Dilip said. So I will try and see what I can tell you about what happened in ancient pre-Vedic and post-Vedic periods in India, and how we can take a leaf for the current training of students and educating students. And I must, endorse what Mr. Maharaj said, is that all my fellow deans and throughout the university campus, everybody is facing one major problem with qualified doctors. And when they go out to practice, they don't have the people skills. They are very good in subject, in passing exams, and they are getting complaints from their respective ministries of health, permanent secretaries and ministers of health, and they are asking, we have a committee of deans of medicine, how? Because we tried professionalism, ethics and communication for healthcare workers, PECH course, and everybody just crammed the course and passed, and nothing went inside, and nothing was practical. So what happened in ancient India? I think I just wanted to all right, so there'll be a lot of repetition. I'm apologizing, but you know that true education goes beyond academic knowledge, and it shapes values, empathy and character. So the aims of ancient education, quite a bit of them, I don't want to read all of them, but you can see that the major aim is to make the student fit to become a useful and pious member of the society, promote simultaneous and harmonious development of the intellect. And there are many other attendant aims. I don't want to take the time to read everything. We can change the. So you all know the Panchakosha from the Upanishads, that as a human being, what am I as a human?
Am I the body, which is what they call as Annamaya Kosha? Is it the life energy, which is the prana? Is it our mind? Is it human is a mind? No, it's more than that. Mind, is it intellect? Intellect actually is more than mind. And then the final stage of what we are as human being is absolute bliss. That's called the Ananda Kosha. The ancient education trained all these dimensions of human beings. They wanted to have a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy intellect, and then reach that inner bliss. And that's what Dr. Chatrani was saying about the consciousness inflect inside and just realize your absolute bliss. So that was the aim of ancient Indian education. So the salient features, I mean, there were, it evolved over the Vedic and post-Vedic periods. Moral, physical, intellectual, and spiritual ways were supported. And basic education was imparted at homes, as Dr. Maharaj said, and temples, pathshalas, tolls, chatuspatis, and gurukuls. Everywhere, they had the basic education, and when it had to be higher education, a tertiary education was at the university. We had universities in the Vedic period, so and Viharas during the Buddha period, and they were imparting tertiary education. So teaching at that time was largely by tradition, recitation, and memory, because most of our scriptures and Vedas came by recitation and memory. But there was always this query whether they just recited it without knowing it. But actually, there is enough evidence that they had to understand while they recite, understand every single verse which they are reciting, so that shaped them. Can we change? So there was the Gurukula system, okay, and students were with the Guru, the Acharya Kulavasan. The major aims were association and imitation. And Mr. Maharaj said that, modeling is one of the best ways of educating a child. So association with the teacher and imitation of the teacher. There was a direct personal contact with the teacher. So, the teacher should have been of a noble character. So they developed discipline, habits, and routine. And it produced a greater effect and at a very impressionable stage of life. And it eliminated pampering because, every child in the Gurukula was treated equally. And although it was criticized to be very hard life, it prepared to the student to the future hardships of society. So, Swamiji also talked about nature versus nurture, and both are important for imparting education. And strangely, during the Vedic age, every thing was, the nurture was given importance. And if you know, one of the hymn in Atharva Veda says, if you give proper education, everything can be accomplished. But when we evolved in the post-Vedic age, they knew the importance of nature too. So there is a Subhashita Ratna Bhandara is one of the education treatises. It says, Malayepi stito venam revad na chandanaha. That means, in a mountain, when there is a bamboo, when you grow a bamboo from a shoot, it grows as a bamboo and not as a sandalwood. So they knew that there should be some element of nature to shape a child. So natural endowments do play a part, but they cannot be perfected without proper training and education. So both are important. So the teacher was considered an intellectual and spiritual parent. So there was a filial relationship between the student and the teacher. And since education was imparted by oral traditions, the teacher's role was very, very important. And they were naturally expected to possess the qualifications and character, and they were the ideal example for the student to follow their conduct. And the teacher was not only to instruct, but to inspire the student. And most teachers did not expect any income for training a student. And then students had their own duties. They have to develop the character. Emphasis was given on moral compass. Lying, slandering, and backstabbing, biting were prohibited. The strength of the mind and character was developed by asking the question to control the desires. And the critique was that whether we trained them as ascetics and sannyasis, that was not because the students were actually asked to control their passions, but the sannyasis were usually asked to kill the passions. So that was the major difference in the training of the students. So when you compare this with the modern Indian education, ancient Indians held that the individual exists for the society. But in modern India, they think that the society exists for the individual. Okay? And there was no passing of any academic examination in the ancient education, and modern education is dominated by standardized exams. Respect for gurus, Mr. Maharaj said about it, was habitual and automatic there, but we need to demand it now. Discussion, deliberation, and questioning teachers were welcomed, but now, when you ask questions to a teacher, you consider that we disrespectful. So how the students were assessed? No exams. They were called to defend their position. They had to undergo an ordeal of fiery debates, learned debates, several times during their learning. And learning is a joint effort within the teacher and the student. You all would have known the famous shloka, Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karvavahai. Sahaviryam karvavahai means we actually work together. Tejasvina vididamastu, and what it says, na vidvishavahai. We will discuss, deliberate, but we will not quarrel. A teacher and the student should discuss and deliberate. The student were encouraged to ask questions. So I put that small thing from Taittiriya Upanishad, where there are 9th Anuvaka, where a group of students sit and discuss what is the primary duty of a human being. Somebody says to maintain the faith or to maintain satya, and everybody has their own argument, and the teacher now moderates what is the primary duty of the human being. And then in the last, in that it says, maintaining truth is the primary duty of a human being, was told by one of my ancestors, and that's why I remember that Ratitara was actually my clan. I belong to the Ratitara clan, so I remember this because of that. So we had this very healthy tradition of teachers and students actually discussing everything. And then there was the convocation, and I was surprised that even in medical, we administer Hippocratic oath now, but there was a big convocation address from Sushruta, what a medical person should do when they become a doctor. So you all would have known about this convocation, Satyam Vadaha Dharmam Chara. So speak the truth, do your duty, neglect not your daily study, reward your teacher, do not cut off the line of progeny, and let your mother, father, teacher, and guest, that's, that Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, everything comes there. And whatever actions are blameless, follow them. Conduct yourself. That is the rule, that is the teaching, that is the true purport and the command. And you should observe this. Right? So, a couple of slides more, and then I know that we cannot go back in history. I mean, ancient education did have some cultural societal issues, including caste discrimination and gender discrimination, especially in the post-Vedic period. Vedic period did not have that They considered everybody equally, but in the post-Vedic period, when the cultural things came up, but modern day replication of Gurukul has been tried. Many of my uncles have tried. I mean, but it is fraught with a lot of conflicts because they are unable to take the old Gurukul system's aims and objectives and marry that with the modern, requirements. And that's why, what we need to do, because the goal and the process and the financial dimension of education has changed. So we know that it is unrealistic to bring back the past pattern of education, but what we can do is to, we can take a leaf from that idealistic education, because the major objective was to shape the character and prepare the individual to a contributor to a self-family, society, nation, and the world. And we need to take lessons from those goals. And instead of institutions turning into mills, I produce, I know that, 250 doctors every year. So they all come out, okay? Because they pass and score high in the standardized exam, distinction, dean's honor roll, everything, they are good. But when they come and sit with the patient, I don't want to say anymore. So inculcating social and moral tendencies from an impressionable age is what we need to do for education. And thank you so much for the opportunity given to me. And I hope I didn't bore you with repeating what Dr. Maharaj said. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor Hariharan. And as a token of appreciation, the Brahma Vidya Peetham would like to recognize your contribution. Minister, we have several students here from several different schools. We have from Presentation College San Fernando. I always will put them first. I'm a little bit biased. Naprima Boys College, second. Naprima Girls High School. Presentation College Chaguanas. Hillview College. St. Joseph Convent San Fernando, where we have 1 staff and 3 students. San Fernando Central Secondary School. Marabella South Secondary School, Barpo West Secondary School, Faizabad Secondary School, Tabakit Secondary School, Avocat Vedic Memorial School, Gasparillo Secondary. I think you should be proud that this is the height of the carnival season, and on a day where we celebrate International Education Day, we have such a wonderful crowd. So thank you. We also want to recognize the principal of Avocat Vedic Hindu, Nirmala Meru Ramnath, who is here with us, and also past teacher at Naprima Girls High School, Ms. Sumati Gopi Singh. Welcome. Thank you very much. So, Minister, just before you speak, we will have a student just give his perspective on what his education, a student's vision for education. Pavan Dan, is, I have to admit, is related. Is a Form 5 student at Presentation College San Fernando, member of the Presentation College San Fernando Cricket Club, as well as senior member of the Presentation College Steel Orchestra. In addition to his love for cricket, he has great passion for music and has been playing instruments since the age of 6. He plays the national instrument, as you saw tonight, and the guitar under Mr. Michael Joseph. He's also an advanced music student with Shiv Sangeet Music School, plays the guitar, violin, and harmonium, and does vocal training under the guidance of Shivanand Maharaj. In July 2024, he graduated in music as a sole performer from the Shiv Sangeet School of Music. So Pavan, welcome, and thank you.
Seetharaman and good evening. All protocols observed. Thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you to Brahma Vidya Peetham International for giving me the opportunity to speak at this event. Today, as we observe International Education Day, I stand before you not as an expert or policymaker of any sort, but as a student, one whose life is shaped every day by the education system in Trinidad and Tobago. My topic, A Student's Vision for Education, reflects not only my own experiences, but the shared realities of students across the Caribbean. Education is often described as the key to success, but for many Caribbean students, the journey is not always easy. While we are grateful for access to schooling, we face challenges that can make learning stressful rather than empowering. One major challenge is limited resources. In some schools, students share outdated textbooks, have limited access to technology, or learn in overcrowded classrooms. In a world that is rapidly becoming digital, not all students have reliable internet access or devices at home, placing them at a disadvantage compared to others. Another challenge is academic pressure. Our education system places heavy emphasis on examinations. While exams are important, many students feel judged solely by grades rather than by their talents, creativity, or effort. This pressure can lead to anxiety, burnout, and a loss of confidence, especially when students feel they do not fit into the traditional academic mold. Students also face social and emotional challenges. Issues such as family struggles, financial difficulties, peer pressure, and mental health concerns often go unnoticed in the classroom. Yet these factors greatly affect our ability to focus, learn, and succeed. This is why, as a student, my vision for education is one that goes beyond textbooks and exams, a vision rooted in holistic education. Holistic education recognizes that students are more than just learners of subjects. We are individuals with emotions, talents, values, and dreams. It supports not only academic development, but also emotional, social, physical, and moral growth. In a holistic education system, students are encouraged to explore their interests in sports, the arts, leadership, and community service. Life skills such as communication, problem solving, teamwork, and emotional intelligence are valued just as much as academic achievement. Guidance and counseling are prioritized, helping students cope with stress, build self-esteem, and make informed decisions about their futures. Most importantly, holistic education creates an environment where students feel seen, supported, and valued. When students feel understood and motivated, learning becomes meaningful rather than forced. As a secondary school student in Trinidad and Tobago, my vision for education is one that prepares us not only for exams, but for life. An education system that equips us to be confident, compassionate, and capable citizens, ready to contribute positively to our nation and the wider world. On this International Education Day, let us remember that the true purpose of education is not just to pass tests, but to empower students to reach their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavan. I think the Brahma Vidya Peetham International want to recognize you with a shawl. So thank you very much for that powerful presentation. So next up is our feature address. And it's obviously going to be done by our Minister, Honorable Minister of Health. Minister of Education, sorry. I'm caught in health, sorry, I'm caught in health. Dr. Dowlath is a member of Parliament for San Fernando West. He's a highly respected educator, administrator, bringing more than 3 decades of leadership in education to the national stage. Dr. Dowlath retired in 2021 after serving 15 years as principal of Naparima College, the second most prestigious secondary school in the country. His distinguished career spans 34 years in secondary education, including 20 years as a school principal, first at Irie High School for 5 years, followed by his long-standing tenure at Naparima. Dr. Dowlath holds a BSc in Chemistry and Biochemistry, a postgrad diploma and Master's in Education, as well as PhD in Education. In addition to his school leadership, he served as a part-time lecturer at the University of the West Indies School of Education for over 2 decades, where he played a vital role in training future educators. His contributions to national education policy include serving as chairman of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago and interim chairman of the cabinet-appointed Gate Committee. His deep involvement in civic life is further reflected in his service as an elder and lay preacher in the Presbyterian Church, exemplifying his values-driven approach to leadership. It is a great honor to have Honorable Minister of Education deliver the feature address at this International Day of Education event at the Brahma Vidya Peetham International. Welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I want to recognize my cabinet colleague and Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Ravi Ratiram. I want to recognize the judges in his absence, Justice Frank C. Prasad and Justice Devendra Rampasad. But I also want to especially recognize Swamiji, founder and spiritual head of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International. I want to recognize all the special guests, too many to call, people, many of them who I know. But I want to ask, since we have been sitting for a while, all of those school principals, teachers, and students to stand who are present. Please stand. Let's give them a wonderful round of applause. I want to concur, thank you very much, please be seated, with our chair, that so many things are happening in society and they have found time to be here on this International Day of Education. A lot was said, and Swamiji, I will concentrate a little bit on Trinidad and Tobago. I want to start with, since we are in that season, with a calypso. I'm referring to local. Illiteracy is a man's greatest enemy. It is your duty, yes, your duty, stamp it out completely. Ignorance always impedes progress. Education saves you much distress. So learn as much as you can, for the nation's future is in your hand. And this is a calypso entitled Education a Must by the great singer Francisco, and it's over 60 years old. And so this calypso has a very powerful message for us even today as policymakers, as communities, as representatives of the United Nations, that global community. And I always talk about thinking global and acting local. Education, as has been confirmed by all the speakers, is the foundation on which individuals, societies, and nations are built. In education, we talk about scaffolding. And education is there at the base. It has to be the solid foundation on which lives, on which communities, on which countries, on which this world is built. And so, education, when we reflect on it in its deepest sense, is transformative. It is supposed to transform each one of us. Not just how to think, and as so many speakers said before, how to care, how to stand up, and how to act. And so we hear a lot about social responsibility. How, as individuals who graduate from an education system, how do we see ourselves as owning the problems of the society and going beyond critical thinkers? You know, there are a lot of critical thinkers, and they sit in their armchairs And they give you all kinds of solutions. They use ChatGPT, they use all of the various, but they never ever go from critical thinking to problem solving. And so, yesterday in Parliament, I was told I was a quiet minister. So what I did, over the last year, I quietly opened every single school on September the 8th. I'm quietly delivering laptops. I'm quietly ensuring that all textbooks in schools will be digital with avatars. So probably next 3 years, as young Dan spoke about outdated textbooks, those will be a thing of the past. And if we are able to replace all those textbooks, parents will save about $1.5 billion. And so I want to say to you, as we go beyond the academics, we've repaired the schools. And I want to recognize our school supervisor here, Mr. Joda, who's been instrumental in implementing our plans. We are going beyond the classroom, beyond the 2 covers of the textbook and the 4 walls of the classroom. We are concentrating on the play areas. You know, when I went to school, as I'm told is the second best school, yeah, Naparima College, I went to school early to play with my friends, yes? And so any opportunity that you give children in school, they take that time to play with their friends, to discuss something. In some schools, we are having some issues because, you know, the schools are microcosms of the society. And where there's violence on the outside, a lot of those things are reflected within the schools. And so the Honorable Prime Minister would have taken an initial initiative with the Ministry of Education to clamp down on some of those issues. And it's working very well. And then we put layer on layer of all of the support for our students. So besides school-oriented police officers and counselors and psychologists, I want to say that we are concentrating now on the play areas. I remember learning my mental maths under our almond tree behind the school. So a lot of the education can take place in those areas where you go and you relax and you feel that sense of, the word we use is consciousness, the breeze blowing on you. You are smelling the fragrance of all of the plants and trees and flowers around. And I want to congratulate the Minister of Agriculture. Soon, every single school in this country, and he has promised me it, will have hydroponics units to ensure that our children get their hands dirty. They go to the school garden, but also they use technology. So let's give him a wonderful round of applause for that. And so I want to say for the principals here, and the students and the teachers, don't overlook those spaces where you can play. I remember at Naparima, every corridor had a table tennis board. You make use of all of those opportunities. But I want to say that at the Ministry of Education, we cannot do it alone. Our philosophy, we have 3 pillars. The first is the student, and we put in all our students first. The second is that we have parents as partners in education. And so you would have heard about all of the important goals of education. You would have heard about the word educare, which means to lead out of. As Swamiji said, he doesn't agree with the concept of a tabula rasa or a clean blackboard. Every child comes into the classroom with values, with learnings. And what we have to do is to allow them opportunities to lead those out of them, to maximize their potential. Not to stifle it by a curriculum that only offers them minimum. And so, as we look at parents as partners, we want to respect the values that come from the homes, the discipline, and where there are parents who need our support, through the social services, we will ensure that we provide those supports. for those parents in a timely fashion. We believe at the Ministry of Education that all children can learn and that parents are the first teachers, and therefore we must respect them as partners in education. But I will say to you, even the best designed system sometimes struggles to have full impact. And so we need the communities around. We need the NGOs. We need especially those churches, those temples, those mosques to join with us. And you've heard about it. When you look at education in Trinidad and Tobago, you realize that denominational bodies play a significant role in delivering the kind of quality education. And so today, we are here in one of those spaces, and we are talking education. And so I want to give Swamiji especially a wonderful round of applause. When I first got the invitation, I said yes. This sounds very interesting. First of all, because I have not come to your ashram before, but also because I saw Dr. Dan's name on it, and I know he will go into the best school in the country. He will be associated with something of high value. So as I commend you and your organization, for it's really a conversation. The conversation doesn't end here. We've now started this discussion. And so I want to commend especially the youth. I want to commend the use of the pan and the tabla, that integration. Let's give them a wonderful round of applause. In all my life, I have always advocated for young people being at the forefront. And I want to say that as we commemorate this International Day of Education, let us remind ourselves that education without character is empty. Education without character is empty. Character, however, without education is blind. So my prayer is that we commit together to empower young people, not just to learn, but to lead. Not only to think, but to transform. Not simply to receive like empty vessels or clean blackboards, but to create. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, the Brahma Vidya Peetham would like to thank you for a wonderful address and with a shawl, a flower, and a book. Okay, thank you. Thank you once again. So as we come to the end of this program, I must congratulate this audience. This audience has been phenomenal. This is a very tough session. So I want to congratulate this audience. They have been attentive, silent, receptive. That's it. That's as much as we paid for. So congratulations, and give yourselves a round of applause. The At this point, we'd like to recognize some more persons in our audience. First, Justice Devendra Ramprasad. Swamiji would like to call you to the stage to accept a token, a small token from the Brahma Vidya Peetham. For those who don't know, Justice Devendra Ramprasad is the High Court judge and associated closely with the Todd Street Temple, and we are also close partners with them. Thank you very much. Next, we'd like to, here we have someone that is very familiar. Mr. Devish Maharaj, Member of Parliament for Arangwes and St. Joseph, and Minister of Justice and Minister in the Office of the Attorney General. Welcome. We're at the closing part of the ceremony, but welcome. Acting AG as well. I know, so you must be having your hands very full. So thank you for taking the time, sir, to be here with us this evening. So I'd like to recognize Senator, the Honorable Mr. Ravi Ratiram, to come to accept a little token. Minister Ratiram has been very supportive of the ashram and has been extremely helpful in setting up of our Ayurvedic session across there, where we have a 10-acre plot that we are cultivating all our Ayurvedic plants, and that is a new program that we started just a couple of months ago. So thank you to Minister Ratiram. I know, Mr. Devish Maharaj, Honorable Minister, you came a little bit late, but we still want to have you on stage. Swamiji has been talking about you for a little while, so we're keenly awaiting your presence. So thank you for really making the effort, and I know it's a long trip. Thank you very much. Oh, and okay, thank you. So, as you know, at this ashram we celebrate many celebrations. We do all the religious celebrations, but we do a lot of activities like this. We've had a Veda conference, and this year we will strive to have an national and then an international Ayurvedic conference. So we not just doing the religious observances, but we also recognize much more than that. Next Saturday, you're invited to the ashram again to attend the centenary birth anniversary of the Satya Sai Baba, and that will be from 4 p.m. next Saturday. That's on the 31st. And then on the Sunday thereafter, on the 15th, is Shivratri, so we welcome you all to attend that as well. It is really my pleasure to give personal thanks to all of you who sat here patiently, and to hope that this event has been of some help. But to give a formal vote of thanks and roundup, I'd like to call on the Secretary of Brahma Vidya Peetham International, Sadhvi Anandamaiyee Giri. Swamiji is a tremendous force and strength to this ashram and is currently advancing her studies in Sanskrit and post-colonialism, as well as PhD with the Hindu University of America, where she lectures in the Ram Chatrani courses. Sadhvi has been with Swamiji since the age of 4 and is the Shakti of Karatal. Sadhvi ji.
Man knows how to fly in the sky like a bird. Man knows how to swim in the ocean like a fish. But man, Minister, has yet to learn how to walk on the face of this earth. Our revered founder, Swami Brahmaswarupananda Ji, Dr. the Honorable Michael Dowlath, Minister of Education, Senator the Honorable Ravi Ratiram, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Mr. Devish Maharaj, Minister of Justice and Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General, all dignitaries, specially invited guests. This evening, we have had a container full, and is with the vision, the great vision of our Revered Gurudev, Swami Brahmaswarupananda Ji, where he calls the Brahma Vidya Peetham International not a university, but a multiversity. At this multiversity this evening, we have heard meaningful observances and discourses on the theme of education as we come together to celebrate the United Nations International Day of Education. We have heard about education as a plus value. But how do we maintain these plus values, these eternal values in a changing society, when our human society is an organism constantly changing, adjusting, and readjusting? Satya Sai Baba says, the eternal values, the plus values, the education values are Satya, truth, Dharma, righteousness or righteous responsibility, Shanti, peace, Prema, love and compassion, and Ahimsa, non-violence. When education is grounded in these values, it produces not only skilled professionals, but responsible citizens, ethical leaders, and compassionate human beings. In a rapidly changing world, education must continue to balance intellectual advancement with moral clarity and social responsibility. On behalf of the Brahma Vidya Peetham International, we express our heartfelt appreciation to our featured speaker, the Honorable Dr. Michael Dowlath, Minister of Education, for his insightful address and his continued leadership and commitment to the advancement of education in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Dowlath, Minister, I just want to let you know that your team at the Ministry of Education have been so cooperative, so helpful. There has not been a day when I had called in organizing this program that a staff member, a secretary, the permanent secretary, they weren't available to help us. So we want to thank you, and we also want to thank the ministry for the approval for the secondary schools to come to this program this evening. Our gratitude is extended to all our illustrious speakers and presenters. We also sincerely thank Ms. Joanna Kazana, United Nations Resident Coordinator, for bringing greetings from the United Nations and for reaffirming the global importance of education as a foundation for peace, development, and human dignity. We thank the organizing committee, volunteers, partners, and support teams whose dedication and quiet efforts ensured the success of this observance. We especially commend our students and performers whose voices and talents remind us of the future that we are shaping. As we conclude, we thank you, our patient audience, for being here this evening. Your presence and engagement in this meaningful discussion will build the way for a new future of education in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. As we conclude, may we recommit ourselves to an education system that balances academic excellence with human values, knowledge with wisdom, and progress with compassion. In the spirit of the United Nations, may education continue to be a shared pathway toward truth, responsibility, peace, compassion, nonviolence, and toward a more just, inclusive, and peaceful world for all. With these words, I formally declare this International Day of Education program concluded. Thank you. I'd like to ask Pandit Vigyanji to do the closing prayer, but before that, we would like to ask Sister Hemalata and Mr. Veer Kisoon to come on stage to receive a presentation from Swamiji, whilst Panditji makes himself available to us for the closing prayer. Following the closing prayer, we do have refreshments for everyone. There's a station to the back of the congregation where we would be receiving beautiful refreshments, tasty, delicious refreshments provided by the ashram staff. Panditji?
Let us all, in an attitude of prayer, surrender our hearts at the feet of Bhagwan as we give thanks for the opportunity to celebrate this glorious occasion of International Education Day here in Brahma Vidya Peetham. Om Ya Kundindu Tushara Dhabala Ya Shubhravasravrita Ya Veena Varadandi Mandatakara Ya Shveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachuta Shankara Primitibhir Devyai Sada Vandita Samang Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nishesha Jadyapaha Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavit Om Dhyau Shanti Antariksha Gwang Shanti Prithvi Shanti Rapaha Shanti Aushadhaya Shanti Vanaspataya Shanti Vishwadeva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvagung Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Samah Shanti Riddhi Shanti Om Bolo Shri Satya Sanatan Dharma Ki Hari Om.
So thank you again for, I would want to say, a quite successful evening. Before, the refreshments will be served, and in the interim we'll have some music as well. But what we would like to do is to have all the speakers and the ministers come forward so we can take a few photos, and then anyone else who may wish to come forward can do so. But if we can have the speakers and the ministers come forward. And Justice as well. Justice Ramprasad, you would also be welcome up front. Yes, and one announcement, my Sister Hemlata.
Om Shanti. I just want to tell you that one of the Brahma Kumari sister in Guyana covered the 200 schools for moral education and to the teachers. And she took 2 years for 200 schools. Every session was 50 to 60 teachers. Thank you.
Minister request that the school children come up for a picture with the team. So all school kids come up, please. And then the teachers and principals. Well, maybe all teachers and principals as well. Please, yeah, thanks.
Go ahead, go ahead. Ready? Everybody watch it? Watch it.
Thank you all very much. And please, there are refreshments outside for
Thank you.